All right, great. Well, just so everyone knows, this is a very beginner, very introductory session to using Google. We're going to be looking at our, if we were going to say our clear learning targets, is hopefully I'll be able to sign into Google Chrome as well as create a class and uh, be able to add students if necessary. So that's really what we're looking at. So we're looking at signing into Chrome, getting a quick overview of Drive. I see Ballard is here. I don't know if he wants to jump in on that as well, but I did take some cues from him yesterday. And so hopefully that experience will run a little more smoothly today. All right, well, I see just one more person joining in, but I think we're gonna go ahead and get started. So if at any time you have questions, we do have Jim. He's going to be, if you want to type something into the chat. He can get to you. Mr. Ballard can get to you as well. Mike and Michelle or anybody else who's, I know Kayla's iPhone, I think, was on the session yesterday as well. So anybody who's got some commentary or wants to help out, you can certainly jump in on that chat. Once I switch over to sharing my screen, I won't be able to see what those messages are. And if you need me to pause, redo something, go back and show it again, feel free to unmute your microphone, which you can do just in the bottom of your screen as well, on the bottom left. You can unmute that microphone and just say, hey, slow down or go back or do something else. Just by a quick show of hands or faces, are any of you already using Google Drive and or Google Classroom? Okay, I see a couple of thumbs up there. Yeah, a hand wave. Thank you, Mr. Is that Whitman Miller? Okay, there we go. All right, well, that's a few of you. So for the rest of you, no problem. You're in the right place, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to switch over to sharing my screen, which hopefully will allow everybody to see what we're looking for here. Let's see if I share the right one today. All right, I think we've got it. So I am using the Chrome browser. If you have your windows kind of with your chat window, you may want to try to minimize that or move things around a little bit, because I'm going to be showing you some items in the top right corner of my browser window. And if your chat window is up there, that'll make things a little tricky. So I'm going to start by doing that myself. So I'm looking up here in the top right corner. You can see I've got some things up here that are little icons. These are extensions that are in Chrome, which we're not going to get into that today, but hopefully you've at least got this one, which was pushed out to the entire district if you are signed in. The other piece is I've got this icon right here. For me, that's just my image that represents my sign in. And if I click on that icon, you can see it says Arthur Williams, and it's got my Hamilton County email address down there, williams_a@hcde.org. This process goes a lot smoother if you are signed in to your Hamilton County account right here. While you can certainly sign into Drive and Classroom and all of those other Google items without being signed into Google Chrome, this does make that process work a lot easier. So you'll want to go ahead and see if you don't have anything up there. I was able to check this out earlier. I'll go ahead and turn it off. Oh, now my screen sharing has closed. So that was not the goal. Let's go back and try it again. Can you guys still hear me? All right, good. So learning with technology as we go along. Perfect. All right. All right, so we're back here. If the screen is sharing again, and I'm going to go ahead and um, attempt to sign in and sync again. So I've got just this generic one here right now, and it says not signed in. So as I go to turn on that sync, it's going to ask me to sign in. And so here's where I'll put in my Hamilton County information and my password. Because I was in there before, it's just asking me if that was you before. So I'm going to say, yeah, that was me. So right now it's actually gone ahead because I'm actually on my other account that I had pulled up. Now it's got my correct icon as well for my Hamilton County picture. The picture doesn't really matter. What you do want to make sure of is that you have this information correct, and that'll make sure that you are signed into Chrome correctly. Once you get signed into Chrome, then everything else moves a lot more smoothly because now you are automatically signed into your Google Drive accounts, your classroom accounts, everything else that pops up will use that as the default. So before we move into Drive, I just want to stop and make sure, are there any questions or issues just right there? If anyone, hopefully if you've been chatting, Jim and Mike and them have been able to help you, but if you wanted me to pause, I can do that now and kind of go back and do something there. All right, I saw something flash, but I did not hear anyone. So you guys just let me know if you need me to stop and go back. I'm going to go ahead here to this, the starting Google search page. And what I'm going to do is just navigate into Google Drive. So let's start with drive.google.com. Inside of Google Drive, you can, I don't know, I always tell my staff, I imagine Google Drive is kind of like one of those giant, do you guys remember those big giant Trapper Keepers from the 80s, the big binders with zippers and thing, or didn't have, I don't know. They were huge, monstrous things. I see a few Trapper Keeper lookalikes nowadays, but this one kind of holds everything, right? It's got folders inside of it, and you can have in the real Trapper Keeper, and you can have that in Google Drive as well. You've got paper that used to go on into your Trapper Keeper, and you can call that your docs and sheets and all kinds of things that you slip into this virtual version here on the big Google Drive one. So coming down the left here, you can see we've got some options for how to view what is being displayed here. This button up here that says new is how you get to file creations of all kinds, so you can get into different items there. Up here is your quick access. And so the quick access is just things that you were using recently or that you use quite a bit, and it'll kind of keep those populated up there. This is My Drive on the left. This is kind of your default landing page, and it will have, if you hit the little triangle to the left, it will show you all of the folders that I'm also seeing on the right over here. Pull them down here. And that's useful sometimes to be able to have those in two places when dragging files back and forth. There is another view for this middle area. I prefer this list method, but if you come up here to the right, you can also see there is a grid view. And when you click on that grid view, not a whole lot changes except down here, my files now look like squares or tiles in a grid, as opposed to when I'm in the list view, it has a more traditional file-based detail view here. So that's what we have, these things, and you can see owner and date and some information. If you'd like to see more specific information about a file, that's what this item right here, this is your view details. Right now it's giving me details about my drive, but if I click on any one of these things, it will tell me more. This is letting me know who all can see that information. This is also letting me know some information about specific files as well, like this one here. I can see what was happening, who's in there, what was the last change made, and etc. If that's a little bit much, you can still hit that X and close that out so that you're not looking at all of that. So that's just
Hey, Arthur,
yeah.
could you zoom back out just a little bit? You're up so tight that it's jumpy.
Oh, okay. What are you seeing here, Mike?
I mean, it's when you're moving left to right, everything is moving so fast that I almost can't keep up with you.
Okay, because I'm not
So,
zoomed
are,
in, but let me try to see. I'll close some other tabs and see what we can do with that.
is anybody else seeing that, or is it just me? It's possible. Yours is fine. Okay, maybe it's just me. I've never seen it do this before.
Yeah, is there
Mine is fine. I see it normal.
okay, so you're seeing the entire screen, okay.
Correct.
There we go. I think it's my internet connection. I was seeing a lag too. Now you guys are actually talking when your mouths are moving, so it's weird. All right,
Well, I thought you lived in that good
as
land of
long as it's just
UTV,
me.
Mike. What's going on down there?
I was bragging on it yesterday, but apparently something's wrong this morning.
Me and Michelle
All
are
right,
out here in Comcast land. What's that about? I don't know.
maybe it's proximal. I don't know. They're
Got
close
it.
to you.
Got it.
All right, sorry about that.
No problem.
Carry on.
So what I've got here now, so I've kind of gone through a quick overview of what you're seeing here. There are a couple of items that I didn't talk about now that I'm clicked on a particular file. Let's leave it here. You can see I've got some other icons right here that are visible. This one is for link sharing. That allows me to, whatever I have highlighted, such as this folder, to click this button and get a link that I would use, I could give to share with others. So if I wanted others to be able to see and access what's in this folder, I can click on that and it says anyone at Hamilton County Schools with the link can view. So that would allow me to copy this and share that with other people. I can get a little more specific in here in the sharing settings by entering people's names specifically. I can also change their level of access. Now, maybe I want anyone in Hamilton County Schools to be able to edit, or if that's still a little bit scary, I can go and get way more specific. I can click right here and now I can see, oh, this is public on the web, or maybe anyone with this link can access it, and or even make it so that anyone with the link can organize, edit, and add to it. So there's a lot of granular specification that you can do here within your sharing. So just know that limited to um, you're not limited to just a few options. You've got quite a few in here that you can do there. So, and if at any point you want to turn that link sharing back off, you just hit that slider again and there it is. So it's private again and not shared. The little silhouette with the plus over the shoulder of the individual takes you into those sharing settings directly. So it's kind of two ways to get to the same thing. I can go back to the shareable link there, or I can type in names of specific coworkers or individuals right here. But this advanced button takes us back to what we were just looking at before. Who's able to share it, who you want to invite, and all of that. So that's another way. Trash is pretty self-explanatory. You can remove items from that. One hard lesson I learned is that if you do have a folder with things inside of it and you click this remove, it does not necessarily remove everything inside of the folder. So suddenly all of those documents no longer have a home and they're just kind of floating around in your drive. So it is a little bit of a pain, but you'll want to go and select those documents and remove them first before removing the enclosing folder there. And then this gives us some additional features that we can use. As you can see, my folder here is orange. I can change that color. I think they give it fancy names. This is yellow cab, actually, sorry. And you can rename them and move them around within here. All right, I'm going to pause there and see if there's any questions or anything we want to go back before we dig into Drive just a little bit more before switching over to Classroom.
So Arthur, they're asking if about the Google extensions that are at the top, like how they get their icons up there.
Okay.
And a couple of them say they are signed into Chrome. So if they are signed into Chrome and they're not up there, they want to know how to get them up there.
Oh wow. Okay, so that's a great question here. So what I've right now, these extensions are ones that are associated with this account, with that Hamilton County user there. And if I was signed into my other account, the extensions change to match that person. But to do all of that, you've got to be synced. You see how it says sync is on? You've got to make sure that because what that does is if I sign into this device with my Hamilton County profile, add an extension or two, and then go to another computer and sign in again, it will go ahead and bring those across. Now, we did see yesterday a couple of people mentioned that they weren't getting the Screencastify extension, even though the district had pushed that one out. But then, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe they said they had to go ahead and A, make sure that their sync was on, but B, they had to give it some time, and then when they restarted their browser, things caught up. So that's what I seem to remember from yesterday. Does that sound about right? And we've got some fast and furious chat going on here, but okay, well then, but of course, the other way for if you're seeing something that's not up there and should be, you can always add an extension as well. And so since we've had some conversation around that, I'll show you one way of doing that. The traditional way was to go into the Chrome Web Store. However, the Chrome Web Store will be going away by next year. So I do want to show you another way to add those extensions. One way is item specific. So if I want to add an extension that has something to do with a Google Doc, which is what this item right here, I can right click on that and I get this menu that pops up. Within this menu, we have this one here. It says open with. Uh-oh, that's not quite what I was looking for. All right, not quite what I was thinking there. Let's open that up. All right, so with inside of this doc, I can go into my add-ons here. Those are the 3 that showed up before, but then I can get some additional ones or manage the ones I have. So I'll go ahead and open this and get that. So here I have works with docs. So that's specific to this app. This might be anything that you're interested in, Doc Hub, or well, that would more be like a PDF. Let's try to search for one that shouldn't necessarily work here. Yeah, so Kami is a great one, but it doesn't work with this type of file, so not one that shows up here. If I go back and take a look at any of these others, we can do that as well for sheets and slides and all of the other ones. Again, we've got our add-ons button right here at the top. And inside of that, you can get add-ons or manage add-ons. So I'll go to get, and it's just taking a moment. There we go. And now the add-ons say works with Sheets, can be used directly with Sheets to improve your productivity. So now we've got some new ones here, Doctopus, Flubberoo that I've got on here that work with Sheets that would not have worked with Docs. And let me see if I've got a PDF here. Here's one that's a PDF. I want to see if this is here. No. Oh, no, that's not a PDF, that's a drawing. There's one, copy of missing iPad. So here, when I go to this one, open with, you can see now I've got connect more apps. This looks a little different because it's not a native one here. So when I hit the connect more apps, I've got this same sort of view that we had before, but maybe something like Kami this time suddenly is available because it does work with PDFs for annotating over the top of those. When I click on it, if I want to add it, I can just hit connect and it will add that up here to my selection. So let me do that now. And it says down on the bottom left, I don't know if you can see that, annotate with Kami has been connected. Mine looks pretty full right now up here, so I'm not seeing that icon pop up just yet, but I will go and hold off and we'll see if we get that same advice I was saying before as we wait and reload for that to pop up into the top right. Any questions so far? Okay, well then, not hearing any, I'm going to go ahead and show this last little piece of Google Chrome and Drive. As I go into the left-hand side, you can see, as we showed earlier, that there are different file types that we've got here. You could also make a folder. So I'm going to make this folder and call it Sandbox. And it goes right next to my other sandbox folder. So you can open these by double clicking. You can add files, you can take files within and out. This is one of those spots where I mentioned it's useful to be able to see your file structure over here on the left as well as the right. If I've got a folder open, I can also come over here and drill down to specifics, such as maybe I want something inside of my teaching folder and I'd like to drag that into this one over here. So perhaps I want to grab a folder from here, maybe this TSIN grant. I could literally take that and drag that into this folder, or if I continue to drag down, I can drill down, I can put files in there as well. It also works going the other way around, where if you want to take a specific file here, like this Arthur Williams one, and drag it back to the left, I can do that also into any of these other ones. So that's kind of your drag and drop. If you are not as comfortable with that, or your mouse pad doesn't work as well, you can manually move items within folders up here as well, anything that's in your drive. Well, once it loads up, we'll have a little icon that pops up here that'll let us move. There it goes. This one here, it says to move. And when you click on that, you can select where you would like that to be. So I can start to drill down and find the folder that I'm interested in, or even use this button here to create a new folder.
Hey, can I jump in real quick?
Sure.
On the thing that Arthur was just showing, and you may have seen him click cancel really quickly there. If you move stuff back and forth between folders, you need to be careful doing it because you can break the share settings for it. In other words, if you're moving it out of a place that's being shared with a team or whatever, or with your students, into a place that into a folder that you're not sharing with them, then they will lose access to that. And
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, and possibly even more importantly, if you take something that is not being shared and move it into a folder that is being shared with certain folks, you will give them access to that. So, if you have a folder that you're sharing with your kids, that's, worksheets or something, and then you have a test with an answer key somewhere else, and you move it into that folder that you're sharing with the kids get the test and the answer key. Okay. And it will warn you when it's going to change the sharing settings. Be aware that that's what it's doing. Okay. It's not just as simple as moving files around on your own computer. Okay.
Yeah, he's exactly right. Like, as I take this document here, which I do have shared with a few people, and try to drag it into this folder, it is notifying me that if I move it into that teaching folder, it's going to share it with everyone else who can see that teaching folder, the items in there. So it will give you that option, that warning as you're doing that. And of course, if that's your intent, no problem. Okay, so that is all we're looking at really for Drive. I do want to point out one particular folder here called Classroom. We're getting ready to move into the Google Classroom portion of this. And when you start a Google Classroom or start to add classes, Google will automatically create a folder in your Drive called Classroom. And within that Classroom folder, every single class that you create or become a teacher of will be added to here. So you can see there's a lot of busy business here. It even includes my archived classes as well. So it will automatically create that. And then all of the documents and such that get associated with that will go into that as well. So that's sometimes when teachers are looking for documents that they have associated or created within Classroom, and they start to wonder, like, where did it go? If you're not seeing it in your default area here, that's a place to check inside of your classroom. Of course, one of the best things about Drive is that you can also search. And so a whole nother day for good search technique. It can go into here, as well as limiting and using the advanced search. But at its simplest, you can simply type in the name of the item, and it will start to pull that up. You can see here it's showing my 4 pillars document. And even if I didn't have the S on there, the spelling is pretty good. As long as you don't actively misspell it, if you just come up short, it does a pretty good job of searching through those for you. All right, any questions here before we switch over into the classroom portion of this? All right, great. Well, I'm just opened up a new tab here, and here we've got just my original Google Home. To get into Google Classroom, as always, you can search for Classroom or just type in classroom.google.com. Now, if you've already made some classes, what'll show up is all of the classes that you have created or are a teacher in. And so for here, there's a bunch. But if that's not your cup of tea and you're ready to create something new, we've got some items up here. I think, let's see, Jim calls these the stacked hot dogs, and Ballard says the stacked waffles or pancakes. I just call it the menu button. It's up here in the top left. And when you click on it, you get access to your calendar, some to-dos, all of your classes, things I'm enrolled in. My archive classes down here, those are the ones that I've no longer used. You don't really delete them with Google Classroom. They just go into this section. And then some settings. This is a useful area to look at if you're wanting to see about how you get your notifications. And so here I've got, for most of the stuff that pops up, it gives me way too much information. So, but you can certainly go through and tweak those. And then down here it says you can go specific ones for by class by class. So again, this is your general notifications, and these are specific. As I go back home to my classes now, we're going to go to the top right corner of this area. This is again my profile. Here's my 3x3 array that's got my Google Apps, but this plus sign is really what we're interested in. So this is going to let me create a class or join one. So I'm going to go ahead and click that, and it says join or create. I'm going to create it for today. However, if you have students that want to join in, that you're having them in front of you, or if you're doing it live, you would have them click the join class button, and then you could either show the code that's getting ready to come up, or you could email it to them or something for them to get into. Let's get into it and I'll show you what I mean. As I create this class, it says my class name is required. There's some other portions here that aren't required, but for those of you who teach maybe multiple sections of the same subject, or even if you're a teacher who's wanting to make sure to you move rooms, this can be a useful information down here. However, the only thing you have to do is this portion right here. So I'll just type this in and hit create. Now, this isn't my first class being created, but I do seem to remember that when you create a class for the first time, Google will pop up some little helpful hints and remind you. It'll tell you what this portion is for and what it means over here. So mine doesn't do that. I don't get those tips anymore. But if that was your first time and you're making one, you'll see some helpful hints pop up on your screen. All right, let's just take a quick look around here. Here's that code I was referring to. When you go to join a class, anyone who wants to join your class will need this number, and you can make it a little bigger that way. And so they'll type this in. Case does matter, and these are numbers as well as letters. And if you're in front of students, maybe in the classroom, you could click that and make it full screen, just to make it easier for people to see on your projector or your TV screen, something like that. So that number you can get to at any time, and we can also get to it from your settings later on. We'll let you select your theme and photo, so you can kind of customize this background here. And as you get really skilled, you can get into Google Drawings and really create your own customized background, so that's nice. This is the classwork tab up here. This is where you'll see your assignments, the things that you have created for students. And it just keeps it all in this nicely organized way, the stuff that's really relevant to students, really relevant to your scoring. The stream does that as well. Your assignments will still pop up here, but so does everything else. This is more like your Facebook wall, kind of where everything, when other people post and you post, or if you've allowed students to make comments, all of that will pop up here, but it does not pop up here. This place is really exclusive to the work that you're creating to go into that classroom. So it's a little bit more streamlined in here for that piece. People is where you can add students, or just remind them of the code here. You can manually invite students here through emails. Again, with me being signed into Chrome, if I know I have a particular student or teacher, if I wanted to, look for Michelle Ford, there she is. I can go ahead and add her to this as a student, or if I am interested in getting maybe another student and I know their email, I can do an initial, and you can see now I've got those students starting to pop up. But even if I started to type her name, this is one of my students, it will pop up there as well. And you can click on that and invite those students into your class. I will say they don't get automatically drafted. They do have to go and accept that invitation to the class. And so while that's pending, you will see it down here list as pending to show you that the student has not accepted your invitation yet. But once they do, the pending goes away. Finally, over here in the grades, we don't have any students yet, obviously, but as you start to score assignments, and I'll jump over into another class to show you what that looks like. As you start to score assignments, you will start to see those grades here. We don't have native PowerSchool integration yet, so some teachers don't use this portion a whole lot. However, it can still be useful when you're giving feedback to students, and then you just have to transfer those grades over to PowerSchool. All right, so that's just a quick overview of these tabs here. Let me pause and see if there's any questions or comments that or need to go back and show something again.
Arthur, the question was, can you just give the students the code and not the email? And I said yes. I don't know if everybody's following via the chat group though.
Absolutely, yeah. I could, if I have a Remind app with students added on there, I could copy this down, type that in, send it via Remind. I could post this onto my teacher webpage. Hey, come join my Google Classroom. If these are all options for if you're not standing in front of students, you can get this to kids any way they can, and then they just have to remember, get back into classroom.google.com and then click right here where it says join class. When they hit that, it's going to ask the teacher for the class code right here. It says that, and that's what they will type in to join your class. Any other questions? All right, well, let's go take a look at a class that's got some things populated. Oh, before I do that, let's jump into what this looks like. So if I'm here in the stream, it says communicate with your class here and create and schedule announcements, respond to students. So I don't have any students, so it's a little odd, but you can go here and it will let you share something with your class. Again, this is the spot where it'll let me choose which class I'm sharing this in, which is a great feature since I do have multiple classes. If I wanted to make this same announcement go to all of these classes, I could do that. Yeah.
Can you add me and then I'll share my screen to kind of show what it looks like as a student to
Sure.
join?
Absolutely. Are you Jim or James? Oh, there we go.
All right. So when you invite a student, I'm going to jump on my screen here in a second.
Sure, I'm going to stop share. Okay.
Refresh. All right, so as a student, when they go to classroom.google, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Thumbs up.
I can, yes.
Great. So a student, when they go to Classroom, I've got a ton of classrooms like Arthur has. A student's going to see this, and they're going to have to click the join button. When a student joins, they don't get the same access the teacher does. So it says joining, it takes a second. And then I join. And then this is what it looks like for a student. So students got their classwork and their stream, and I can post something to the teacher if I want to. I hope that's helpful. All right, back to you. Arthur, need to unmute yourself.
Arthur, I think they want to know what it's going to look like if you go in to click join and then type in the code instead of you already sending the email or
Gotcha.
inviting them. Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Uh-oh, my audio seems to be busted here.
I can hear you now.
Oh,
I
okay.
can hear you.
Okay. Jim, do you mind if I have demonstrate that one more time? I'll just remove you and you try it again.
Yeah, go ahead and remove me, and then give me the code, and I'll jump in as adding the code.
Okay. All right. So if you've got something to write with here, the code is number 6, ON, letter S, Q, K, T.
Got it.
All right.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and show you what it looks like. So here's my class. For a student, they're gonna click the plus button up here. If you have not ever created a class, the first thing you need to do as a teacher is create a class before you ever join one, because you want to be a teacher. You want people to recognize you as a teacher. So what I'm already a teacher. I'm gonna click join, like Arthur said. I'm gonna put that code in, 6 ONSQKT. And that's how I would connect that way. I would highly recommend, if you've got youngers or littles and you do it this way, make sure you follow up with a phone call. Arthur showed the button where it showed the kids that are pending that have not accepted the invite. That might be the kids you want to follow up with, where you click the kids, see who's invited, who's not invited.
All right. So again, Jim's in this one. And if you, again, working with youngers, you can also invite guardians. This one's been a little trickier because you do have to get their information. If you type in their names, unless they work in the system, it's not going to pop up. So you will need to get the email information from your students. You can also, I've been told, my kids are elementary, so we haven't tried that, but I've been told you can also have the students add their parents as well, add their guardians. So Jim and Mike are the guys can follow up and confirm that as well, if that's the case. Let me go ahead and remove him here. All right, so going back to that stream, remember we were sharing something with the class. These are more like announcements, as it said, or posts, kind of your sticky notes on the front wall of your classroom. And you can also select specific people with whom to share as well. You don't have to always have all students. You could select subgroups or groupings of students within that. However, this sharing feature, this is not an assignment. This is, again, just that post. And you can add, anything you'd like as well here, YouTube videos, links to files that are on the web. Anything that I have in my Google Drive, I can go and pull up, and then maybe files from my computer living on the desktop or in my documents, I can attach those as well, and that'll upload that. However, in the classwork, this is really where the real meat of the work of Google Classroom goes. This is when you can create different types of assignments as well as posts. So we've got quiz question. If I just want to add some resources or material, like, hey, here's some pages from the workbook or the textbook, or some interesting articles from Newsweek or something like that, that you just want to make that available to students. That's what that is. But these are going to really require students to respond in some way. If I create an assignment, I've got my title, whatever you want to call that, and then your instructions, which is what you actually type to the students that tell them how to complete the requirements for that assignment. So this will let them know what they're supposed to do. Over here on the right, you can see this is the classes that this assignment is going to, and the students. You can change these points if you'd like to be, you know, anything you'd want to work, even just out of 5, or I can make it ungraded altogether. Due dates are over here, pretty self-explanatory. You can select a date, and if you do select a date, you can also choose a time. Um, so it will let students turn in items after that point by default, and it will just give you a marker or a note that says it's late, and that this was submitted after your time period. Now, topics are useful if you're starting to create a lot of topic content that you want to categorize. Maybe you have units of study, like, oh, this was, you know, ancient Baroque, this one's Renaissance, this one is contemporary modern day. You know, if you want to group your material, you can start to create topics to sort that material. And then every time you go to tag something, you might just, you know, I said modern day. Every time you then go into use that, it will give you this as one of the options that you can use to tag that assignment. I haven't used the rubric feature from, my understanding that just allows you to attach the rubric to the assignment so the students can see what the grading is for that rubric. But if we've got any people who have used the rubric feature out there, that might be a spot to jump in here. And then originality reports are, Google will leverage their search power to detect plagiarism, essentially, or things that are copied from other sources. It doesn't search within your classes. However, it does search with the web. So if a student copies from another student, for example, it's not going to check that, but it will check like Wikipedia, it'll check online, and it'll give you, you know, places highlighted that shows where, which portions have been copied. It'll even give you the source where that came from. So that's pretty useful for your high school ones. I have heard, however, that there's some limits on that. And what I'm going to go right here is how many reports can I turn on in my class? This is where you want to be careful because it says you can turn on originality reports for 3 assignments per class with a G Suite for Education account. I don't know that our school has upgraded us to this point yet. So from one of my high school teachers yesterday, she did say, be careful and discerning. 3 assignments per class is that'll take you not too far if you're not careful about that. And then you can actually have your students run it as well, so they can check themselves, so they can see what's showing up that is the same thing that the teacher would see. Again, students can run 3 reports on that assignment before submitting their work. So that's pretty good. I mean, they get 3 cracks per assignment. However, if you've only got 3 assignments per class, that's just something to be aware of. Again, that is this box down here, originality reports, which you would check once you filled that out. So I'm just going to put some stuff in here so we can see what this looks like. Now we've got my rubric option, and this is available now that I've filled in a little bit of that information. When I go to add, again, same options as before that you can place in here. You can create new content to go right here. If I'm like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and create. This is what I talked about before. If you create within Classroom, it will go into that Classroom folder, not necessarily if I pull from here in Drive. This is going to pull it from wherever it exists in my Google Drive right now, not in that Classroom folder. But this one does create it within the Classroom folder. I'm going to just grab an assignment so I can something so I can show you what that looks like. As I go to insert files in the Drive, you can see here's the stuff that I've been clicking on recently, but you can go anywhere into your Drive, including shared drives. I'm going to just choose this one. And so now that I've got this assignment attached, I get some more choices. In this case, students can view file. That's if you would imagine like you're sharing a great big piece of paper with your entire class, and they can all write on it at the same time, right, for this Google Docs, which, you know, certainly there may be a place for that, but I don't necessarily recommend it to have everyone in your class all interacting with the document at the same time. I have done that with teachers before with like shared note taking, and that even that can get a little squirrely. Down here we get some other students can edit. Oh, sorry, so I misspoke. The view, they can only look at the file. The edit was what I just described, where everyone can write on it at the same time, including erasing other people's stuff as well. So again, that's the part that's a little tricky. The view is just if maybe you have something you need everyone to be able to look at, this is the way to do that one. It doesn't allow them to write on it or change it. However, they can make a copy of it. And then down here is the one that you'll probably most often use, make a copy for each student. This is where every student will get this document, a fresh copy for every one of them. Even better, it adds the name of the student to the front end of that document title. So this one's a little weird because it's got my name, but it would actually say Arthur Williams dash, and then the name of the assignment, Arthur Williams. So gone are the days of like papers with no names, right? When they go to resubmit that to you, it has their name tagged right there on the front. And you can easily tell when you're going through to grade whose work you're looking at. We've already gone through all this, so the last piece would be if you're ready to assign it, I can click the assign button and it'll do it immediately, like right now. Or I can come down here and choose to schedule my assignment. Maybe I want it to go out at 8 in the morning tomorrow. That would be an option. And you can also save it as a draft. And if you save it as a draft, you will see this assignment accessible here. You can see now it's there and it shows you it is a draft. You can get right back into that and go ahead and assign it if you'd like. So let me pause here for any questions or anything going on. We're pretty much to the end of this portion. All right, well then the last thing I wanted to do is just show you from a class that's actually filled out. We've got some teachers doing this for the first time at my school. And so I wanted to show you a little bit of what's going on there. I'm a co-teacher here, but here you can see this is that stream that I was showing you. You can see here's an assignment, but here's just a post that she put out here. There's no assignment attached to this. It's just got some information that she wanted her students to be able to have. And they can view that just again, kind of like that Facebook post style. You can see the most recent ones go up top, 703, 702, and we'll start moving back in time as we go there. She has allowed her students to comment on this, on her class, so they can both comment and then respond. And so you can see a little dialogue go back and forth right there. So that's not something you have to do. If you don't, you can go up here to the top right into this settings cog. And as you move down, you can see here it says stream, students can only comment, students can post and comment, or only teachers can post and comment. So you have those different items as well, okay? So again, that's in your class settings, which is this gear or cog right up there. If I click on the classwork one, this is a way more condensed view, right? That we talked about, just only the assignments, the work that this teacher has put together to send out to students. That's all we're seeing right here. Yes, you can still see comments that have gone along with that assignment, but it's a much more streamlined view. And then in here we can see the kiddos that are in there in that assignment, as well as the teachers. And then when we get grades going on here, you can start to see what that looks like, right? So what's happening here out of their scoring, and that numbers can be just added directly to that. If I was going to do an assignment, I could just put that straight in there. I'm going to go ahead and show this one. Do you see here it's got 11 turned in, 5 assigned? So all that's really showing you is that 11 are turned in, but these are not, right? So I'm going to go ahead and view this assignment. And when I view it, you get this view here that's showing you, okay, here's those, but there's those 5, right? That 5 assigned, there's those 5 that haven't turned it in yet. So that's still here. But these have turned in, they just haven't been scored. You can go and click directly on a student, open up their assignment, have a look. You can come down here to the bottom, add a private comment, and that will go directly to that student. It's not public. And of course, as we did before, you can add your grades right there, okay? So as you're going through, and you can do that, so you can see it's a pretty easy way to go through and see each student and their work as they're doing that. And you have some other sorting options here for how you want to look at students. Of course, you can check it out, change your grading and all of that. So, and then here's the instructions. The teacher embedded her instructions in the document, so there aren't any written up here, but you can see kind of the stream of discussion going on there as well. All right, well, that pretty much brings me to the end of what I was wanting to show today. If there are any questions, now's the time, and I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. How's it going? Is that everybody okay?
Arthur, are the kindergarten teachers at Lakeside using Google Classroom? There was a question about that.
Oh, so that's a good question. Right now, we aimed it at 3rd through 5th. We kind of prepped our intermediate teachers to get ready for this step before their kids left. Our K through 2 teachers at this time are not. However, there has been some discussion about seeing what to do. Our population doesn't have a ton of internet access, as well as they don't necessarily have a ton of devices. So at my school, we can provide those. We are 1-to-1, but the decision was made initially to hold off on K through 2. So the teachers are creating video content, YouTube, stuff like that, but no one's really using Google Classroom in that grade level, in those grade levels.
All right, I have a question. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I teach at Eastlake Elementary. I've got 3rd graders. I am trying to figure out a way. I'd say maybe half my class have computer access at home. So what we're doing is just printing our packets of stuff for them to pick up once a week. But I'm trying to give them some extra support for those of you that do have a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Again, since they're 3rd graders, and again, since we've got the added bonus of 80% being Guatemalan, is there a way I can just create a Gmail account, like Mr. Miller's 3rd grade class at gmail.com with a password, and share that with all of them? And that's how they would log in. Instead of having to figure out each of their students' accounts, each of their students, because that'd be just a lot to explain to each student.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
I think I understand your question. So let me just restate it. You're saying create one Gmail account by which all of your students would access and log into that single Gmail account. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Now, me even mentioning to you already makes me think, is that going to be a problem? Because that's a Gmail account and not an HCDE. Oh, look,
Yeah.
Jim's nodding his head.
Yeah, that's correct. Because the way HCD for kids are, they give those private ones, those COPA laws, prevent them from accessing outside of the students.hcd.org.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to provide that extra support, they're going to need to know their student IDs and passwords, right?
Officially,
Well,
yeah.
So give you a couple other options.
Okay.
Though, right. So like if it's just extra support and you want to contact the kids, you might consider just making some Screencastify videos and posting them on your teacher webpage on your Eastlake, right? So you can be like, all right, just want to let you know, here I am. Hope you're doing good. And this week you should be reading whatever it is, Red Badge of Courage. This is what I liked. Hey, let me know what you think, or something like that, just so you can make some contact without them having to actually log in.
Okay. That would make sense.
You'll still need to probably follow up in some way, letting them know that you're posting videos on there.
Yep.
right? So that way they can come there and actually see it and rewatch it.
Yeah. Okay. That's a
Whitman,
good suggestion.
Whitman, do y'all use Class Dojo at Eastlake?
Some of us do. I do not.
Okay, because I found that our whole school uses Class Dojo for behavior, and it has a place for you to do. You can do videos for your
Okay.
kids. Like
Okay.
I've been doing like a little morning meeting online, and there's even like little assignment things you can do, just something different.
Yeah.
That's
That's a good
kid
idea.
friendly.
See, should any of this ever happen again, we'll all be prepared. We just weren't prepared for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of this the first
This
time.
one-to-one device thing for elementary school,
Uh-huh.
killing us. I'm third
Yeah.
grade too.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
the other thing I was going to point out is that, you know, this is a tough time to try something brand new with students. So
Exactly.
if they're not already enrolled in Google Classroom, that's a pretty heavy lift to have.
Yeah, so again, that's kind of why I was trying to say, here's what we're going to all be doing officially as a class. Here's the paperwork to do that. Now, if some of you want some extra support and can do this extra step, go for it. But
Mhm.
as a class, this is what we've got.
Yeah, we talked about at my school a lot about underscoring culture and communication, right? So like, how do you still build culture? Making videos like that would be a good one where they can log in and see you daily or every other day. And then
Yeah.
communication, if they can see you, that also takes away some fear as well. Like, oh, okay, so like my teacher's online, my teacher's making an effort to make communication.
Right.
Any others or questions that were in there before that we missed?
I don't know if you guys, and kind of on the same topic there real quick, I don't know if you guys have seen on Facebook, there are several teachers in Hamilton County that are doing some pretty innovative things. There's a PE teacher in Hickson that does like workouts every day.
Yeah.
Yes,
very
that's
good.
my teacher.
Hey, all right, that was awesome.
He-
Saw that.
He's a unicorn today. It's costume yoga day.
That's fantastic. Saw that this morning. That was the first thing I did was wake up and laugh.
Uh-huh.
Good.
He's awesome.
And there's a couple of teachers that are reading bedtime stories to kids every night, just to say it's okay, we're here with you. You know, of course, the communication of where telling the kids where to go to get that stuff. That's the initial
Yeah.
hurdle.
Once they find it, it becomes addictive. My principal's doing TikTok videos every day, and if he doesn't have that posted by 1 o'clock, my kids go nuts. They're like, they want to see the daily principal TikTok video.
We've got our music teacher doing music bingo. Last night was dancing to her favorite song, and so that's on Twitter. Miss Mullins was going nuts dancing to something. It was a good time.
Katie put a good one. Katie Turner put a good one. She said she Zoomed with her kids the other day and they loved it.
Hmm.
Right? I mean, just letting kids see your face during this time is going to be crucial.
And I think that, you know, kids are still going to be talking to each other, whether they're talking to us or not. And so if you get one or two of them that find out about this stuff, they're going to share it and they're all going to get in there.
Especially the
Kids
parents.
are going to miss
They'll
school.
share it.
They're going to miss school. So, yeah.
Hey, Katie Turner on here, it looks like
Jim
said
went
she
silent.
Zoomed with her kindergartners last night. Is that what you were just saying, Mike?
I don't know.
I
If,
did.
yeah, that was.
You did.
that was-
Okay, that's right. Yeah, so I think that's great. Like Zoom in with, and so this platform that we're using right now to have this conversation, it is free. Typically, there's a 40-minute limit, but all you have to do is just apply to have that released, and they're granting it to everyone right now for no money. You just have to sign up with your Hamilton County email. You need to be an educator email, and then when you sign up with that, it's great. It says here, Katie's just mentioning that Xbox and PS4 can also be used to get on internet. I don't know that you can get on a Zoom with an Xbox, but yeah, you can definitely browse and go through and take a look. It's not hard to set up the Zoom account, and once you schedule it, it gives you a link, and you can send that link out through whatever platform you use to communicate with your families.
I'm going to do a shout out. There's a elementary at 1 o'clock today. Nikki Russell, Mary Avens is doing it. They have an Ask Me Anything. So if you're elementary bend, I would definitely shoot for that. Jessica Holloway and Abby McDonald are doing the Ask Us Anything secondary, if you're secondary. And a lot of these ideas that we're throwing out are ideas that I think in that group would really be beneficial because, you know, it's that 1 + 1 = 3. Like, their idea plus your idea comes up with a whole new idea. So I definitely want to do a shout out to those meetings too.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I think as far as initial Zoom, conversations, that's something you could create the Zoom account, and then, get a link, just like all of you join this Zoom with that link, and you could post something like that on the website. I think that's, that's safe. We're always going to be a little bit concerned about who's going to be watching, but, I think at this point, caution to the wind a little bit and
You
get
can
kids
set your Zoom
participating.
up. You can set your Zoom up to have what's called a waiting room, and as people come in, you can just click accept who gets to come in, which might be an option if you're concerned about that. But yeah, not super hard to set up a Zoom.
All right, guys, it is 10, and we are supposed to be out of here. I appreciate everyone coming in and checking it out. You can certainly follow up with me at email or anything else if you have any questions. And we are in that same document, hopefully, that you used to get here. If you scroll down to the very bottom, there is a help request. They're going to be doing Friday office hours, so you can get some one-on-one attention if needed from somebody who's going to be district office or people that are hosting these sessions. So if you need a little extra time and you weren't really comfortable bringing it up here, feel free to use that link and get scheduled in on that document for those Friday office hours. And as Jim said, the everything elementary and everything Ask Me Anything secondary, those are today also.
Yeah, and you can always shoot me, I'm sure Arthur or Jim, an email too if you want to just ask us something personal about
thing.
how to do some of this. We're happy to answer that. Okay.
All right, guys, take it easy. This has been getting recorded, so it will be up and available in hopefully about less than an hour. So if you need to go back and review anything. Have a great day, y'all.
Cool. Bye.
Mhm.